Hi, folks. Not much notice about this pop up stream, I know, but I was busy today with a number of other things and I couldn't get to streaming until now. So there we have it. Let's see if we can't get in a couple of good ones as we go forward. Hello, Steve. Hello, Lana. Okay, it's very nice to see you. I hope we can talk later for a few minutes. But anyway, today's topic, or the first topic of today, the first update on empowering democracy today, has to do with the fact that corporate media is mostly ignoring the Republicans' ploy to cut Social Security, and Medicare. This topic was raised by an article that appeared in Common Dreams on October 14th. That was written by Brett Wilkins. Corporate media outlets are mostly ignoring a Republican ploy to use the debt ceiling fight to gut Social Security and Medicare if the GOP regains control of Congress. It's a plot that one leading watchdog on Friday called, quote, perhaps the single most consequential story of the midterm elections. Social Security and Medicare on the ballot next month, said the Media Matters people. I'm sorry, said a Media Matters for America senior fellow Matt Gertz, quote, if the American public doesn't know that, it's because the press isn't telling them, unquote. Common Dreams reported earlier this week, actually that was last week, and I did report on what Common Dreams had to say. I did report on the ploy. But anyway, the article says Common Dreams reported earlier this week that Social Security and Medicare defenders are warning that the popular programs, which each serve tens of millions of older Americans, face, quote, grave danger in the event Republicans take control of Congress as a result of the coming elections on November 8th. And what Matt Gertz said, again, quote, if the American public doesn't know that, it's in part because the press isn't telling them, unquote. Why is the press hiding this from the public? Or why, I should say, is the mainstream cable news largely hiding this from the public? The Republican lawmakers made it clear. They indicated that, quote, next year's deadline to raise or suspend the debt ceiling is a point of leverage to force Democrats to allow policies including raising the retirement age and slashing Social Security and veterans benefits in keeping with the GOP's recently adopted policy agenda. Despite congressional Democrats sounding the alarm on what Representative Don Beyer, Democrat Virginia, said would be an economically catastrophic, quote unquote, policy, there's been virtually no coverage from major TV newspapers and other mainstream outlets, said Matt Gertz. And, quote again, there's been shockingly little coverage of this development given its significance. Why are the mainstream news people, with the exception of Chris Hayes, why are they ignoring this news story? Well, of course, first of all, it's about an issue which is going to come to head next year in 2023. Okay, the Republicans want to do this because they believe it will aid them in sabotaging the economy to best set them up to retake the White House in 2024. They're using the same tactics here that they did in 2011 and 2012, and at various points in between. Again, why are the mainstream cable outlets not talking about this? Other than Chris Hayes, it hasn't appeared at MSNBC or CNN or Fox News. The nationally broadcast morning evening news shows on ABC, CBS, and NBC haven't discussed it. I guess they're too busy discussing fashions. They're too busy doing The View. They're too busy doing other crazy stuff they do. It hasn't been mentioned in the pages of major newspapers, including the New York Times, the Washington Post, the Wall Street Journal, the Los Angeles Times, and USA Today. Why? It's a simple question. It should have a simple answer. Why? Surely it's a major issue for the election coming up in just a few weeks. Shouldn't voters know that what the Republicans are planning is to create a debt ceiling crisis instead of immediately voting to lift the debt ceiling, or instead, even better, voting for the debt ceiling law to be repealed altogether so we don't have these crises every few years? Why aren't voters being warned of this plan by the Republicans? Since when is it not relevant to how they vote? It's extremely relevant to how they vote. If they know Republicans are trying to cut back on popular programs to have a negative economic impact, which will be blamed on the Democrats, isn't it relevant that voters know that before they vote? They're already voting in certain states. They're voting in this state. Early voting has started. It has started in a number of places. And the mainstream news is failing to give people the information that the Republicans are planning on a crisis early in 2023 so they can hurt the electoral prospects of Democrats in 2024, and so they can perhaps cut or even eliminate the programs that people find to be most popular. Why isn't the newspaper that boasts of all the news that's fit to print, why is that newspaper ignoring this issue? Why aren't they featuring it before the election on November 8th? Why are they deliberately advantaging the Republican candidates by not mentioning this? Do the New York Times, the Washington Post, the Wall Street Journal, Los Angeles Times, and also USA Today, do all of them favor Republican candidates in the upcoming election? Is that what's going on here? And why are they all doing the same thing? Is this a conspiracy of some sort? What the hell is going on when these major news outlets withhold this very public information from the voters? We really have to do something about these media people, their choices, their selections of what to talk about. This is outrageous. It's outrageous. When Republicans have vowed to cause a debt ceiling crisis, and the biggest newspapers and media outlets in the whole country, with the exception of Chris Hayes, are not informing people about the Republican plans. Hi, Dolores. Hi, Kay. Hi, Steve. Glad to see you here. Thank you for coming. Please share, like, and subscribe. Okay. I really can hardly believe this. I can hardly believe that they're being mum about this. That why question is very important. They ought to be made to answer why they're ignoring this very, very big story. I know Ukraine war is very important. I feel it's very important too. I'm very concerned about it. But there are other stories. And this story is one of the biggest stories out there right now. And they are being totally irresponsible in not speaking about it. This is the third stream in which I've mentioned it. I know that. What are they so busy with that they can't tell people this story? That they can't tell them that if these Republicans have their way, there's going to be a debt ceiling crisis right at the beginning of 2023, which the Republicans are going to use to go after Medicare and Social Security and other entitlement programs. I think these outlets should lose their licenses. I really do. I really do think so. They don't deserve an FCC license if they continue not to carry this story. When are they going to start carrying it? After the election? When people cannot do anything about this Republican plan to have a crisis? Well, that's about all I'm going to say on that. I know this has been a real short one, but I've said already the relevant things to say. It's a short point, but the irresponsibility of the mainstream media with respect to this issue is just incredible in my view. It should be noted by people. It should be discussed by people. It should produce an awful lot of recrimination, an awful lot among people. Hey, I hope you agree with me on that. Well, I have a couple of more streams I want to do tonight. So I'm going to end this stream for now. Please look for me, okay, in just a few minutes. Okay, at 9 o'clock, I'm going to be coming up with a second stream. Kay says the GOP don't care about people. Couldn't agree more, Kay. They don't care about people at all. Of course, to be fair, a lot of the Democrats don't care about people too. But somehow I get the feeling that of the two parties, it is still the Republicans who care less about people. So I'm going to see you all at 9 o'clock for my second stream of the evening. That stream is going to talk about why is talk of 10 million jobs created in the first term of a president? Why is that something incendiary? Why is it a red flag for working people? I hope you'll come back for that. It's really interesting. Thanks.